Okay, welcome back. While our panel members are entering the studio, we would like to start with you again. So I will share my screen again. We want to ask you actually the same question we asked when we started. Yeah, we're just curious if there might be a slightly different answer maybe after all the lectures and workshops of today. So I see still answers coming in. Love, immortal, compassion, understanding, prajna. All right. Let's turn this over also to our panel members. Will still some things, new things appear? Is there anything that that strikes you if you look at this in comparison to where we started?
But some are, for instance, you see love immortal and you see dana. That's the same. So I think a lot of paramitas are chosen now.
I can also show the one from this where we started. So this is where we started. Okay, I'll stop this the sharing for now. The speakers from all the panel are here. So Renate, Barend, and Herman. I was just wondering, you were all also part of the workshops. What is an important question that was addressed in the workshops? Yeah, that stood out for you. Maybe Renate, you could respond to that.
Well, there were more very interesting questions. And also very inspiring thoughts that we have had in both workshops. When I look at the first workshop, there was a question about the paramita Kshanti and also about hierarchies, how to combine them and how we can gain more insights about this combination. And we came out of three things about this, in like three levels. And the first level is you can see Kshanti as hope, but then it is still passive. And actually then you're like waiting and not doing anything. When you look at a deeper level, you come to patience. And then you are more looking at getting more awareness on which level you have to be patient. And that can be on a physical level or on an emotional level or a mental level, and try to act onto that level to another person. And the third one is patience. When you put this in relation to hierarchies, then you have patience in action. So then you know when to act with compassion and knowing into the hierarchy that everything has its own time and its own being. And then you can act with wisdom and help and inspire someone from wisdom. So these three levels we discussed, from hope to patience to active patience.
The insight in the hierarchies and the cycles of those hierarchies. Yeah, and then acting. Yeah, okay, like sowing seeds at the right moment, for instance. Yeah, okay. Herman, Barend, what were questions in your workshops that stood out?
Now, I was the first workshop, I was in the same workshop as Renate. And there, for me, I noticed that Dana was a very popular one. And patience was a very popular one. And of course, if you see patience in this society, you understand that is really a challenge, because everything should be done tomorrow or even today, yeah. And so the whole mentality is that patience is quite often translated in, okay, you have to wait, yeah. but patience in the point of view that you should give opportunity for someone to grow in a certain development and in direction, yeah, is also patience, yeah. Pulling on persons is not very efficient. So inspiring and give a person the opportunity to develop, picking up and grow in it himself is a much more important thing. And I think that is for me a higher aspect of patience than just sitting there and waiting and counting your fingers and say, what is the reason that it is not yet done yet, yeah?
And Barend, what were paramitas that were?
Oh, we talked a lot about dana, love immortal, but I want to emphasize another thing, that is the viraka paramita, indifference to pain and pleasure, because we came to a conclusion that you have to raise about happiness, because happiness is just, you know, the personality who feels happy. And we came to the conclusion that wisdom, be wise, is in fact much more important than be happy. And then we had a discussion about, well, happiness and bliss. Bliss is maybe a little bit more spiritual, but still it's very passive. But there is a Sanskrit word ananda, and that implies an active attitude. Then you are part, you know that you are part of a unity, and you do your duty, you do your job, and that gives a kind of peace of mind, knowing you are part of the totality. And that provokes another question by one of our members of the group, and a kind of suffering, and that is when you are starting to live Theosophy or trying to live the paramitas, you will lose some friends or your family, because not everybody will cooperate with you in your new mentality. And that sometimes gives suffering, but there were very good answers to that problem, I think. One of the ideas was that in the core, in the deepest of your heart, there is no separation. You are all one, so you cannot separate one from another. Okay, in the outer life, you may separate from each other for a while, but that's only temporarily. You will meet again. And you have to practice Xanthi, we will talk about it. Not everybody is at the same time ready for a new change, for a new mindset. And we gave some examples of experiences we had in our family or in our friends, how we lost, not really lost, but that for some time we lost our friends, but in the longer term, it was even better for them, because in the longer term, all of us learned because of that. And in the longer term, we will meet again, and then maybe your mindset that changed in relation to what you was before will in the longer term be an inspiration for others to grow spiritually also. So the suffering is a fact, because you lose friends, you will meet new friends. That's another thing, but it's only temporarily. So viraka is very important, because viraka, the indifference for pain and pleasure, is you learn to see through the personality, or better, you learn to see above the personality, and you focus on the real human being and not on the mask, not on the personality. And I think that's a good lesson for us to learn.
So you were also explaining that there was one of the questions, I think, also that when you practice these paramitas, you want to apply them in your daily life, what the effect is, what happens, what on your character. And then sometimes things happen that, well, might be painful, but in the end, you explain that is still a very important. There are very important lessons to draw from it, from those situations.
In fact, you know, if you listen well to the talk of Herman, the last talk about a human being a magnet, it's only natural that when you change your mindset, you automatically attract other people's and reject people. That's normal. But the people who you lose temporarily, you know, it's just temporarily, because in the core you are all one. And that the Paramitas teaches us as well.
So is that also something you discussed in your groups, Renate, Herman, the effects that result if you practice the Paramitas?
Yeah, what I found, and that was in our group a point of discussion, we have really spent some time on it, that being it yourself is in fact the main concept. If you want to change, you cannot work up another one and put them under pressure and so on, but you should be more or less the living example of what you like to see by another one. Yeah. So, and that is just, let's say, more or less what Barend was saying. And that was the reason that I was coming up with that idea of a magnet, because it is not a matter what do I want to be today. No, you are already something. Yeah. So you cannot say, okay, I have to work on A, but you are still B. No, if you want A, you have to be A as well. Yeah. Mm. And that is an important thing. You cannot change the society if you don't want to change yourself.
In addition to that, in the second workshop, we had some nice examples, I think, about how a situation, circumstances changed because of another mentality. You know, it was a kind of magnet in practice. We had an example of working in a port, and because of it was a difficult situation, but because there was a kind of mindset that everybody was involved, you know, the resolutions they found was very different than you just think of your own interest. And in any group, in any team, when there is another kind of mindset, another principal, another boss, or whatever, then the whole group changes. And if you experience that, then it's not just theory, then it's not just the paramitas who are written in that beautiful book, The Voice of the Silence, but then you experience it, then it's true, then nobody can take it away from you, because you have felt, you have experienced it, that it's true. So that's very nice if you hear those examples. So you really can change society, we really can construct a better future now by changing our mind, our mindset, our perspective. And that's very important.
What I found also very important, that we had a discussion in our group. If you have no trust, you cannot expect that other people will trust you as well. So if you want to have a good working relation, you should trust people, yeah? And you should at least start from that point of view and give the other the opportunity. And then you can expect something back. And if you don't give trust, you cannot expect receiving trust either, yeah?
Yeah, I also have a nice example about this topic. What we discussed in our group, someone gave the very nice example of being a teacher of children who actually had a hard time at school and who weren't able to, I think it was mathematics, to do their mathematics. And the teacher said to these children, you can't do this, it won't be able for you. So the children didn't have any faith, had just like what Herman said. And so it was very difficult for them. But this person in our group, knowing that every everyone has his own core and has the ability to really learn something and to change character. With that vision, he tried to help these young people. And the funny thing was that actually everyone he was helping could make the mathematics very well after a while, sometimes in a quicker time, sometimes the duration was longer, but the faith was there, and so the growth was also there. And so he was like emanating an atmosphere in where the children could grow. I found it a very nice example.
Yeah. So he was emanating that, and he also multiplied it, as I understand. So
yes,
that the children were also becoming these magnets and becoming enthusiastic. Yeah. Great example. Okay. Well, probably a lot more to say about this, but I heard it, and there was my experience that there were many examples of how mentality makes the distinction between a harmonious or an inharmonious result, and that we can actually apply these paramitas to any situation we face in life. Okay. Well, thank you for your contributions. Actually, the sum total of contributions from all of us that attend. I'd like now to go to the last part of our